Welcome back to the shop, everyone, and Happy New Year's. So I've just gone back through some of the 2022 videos, and let me just say that 2022 was the year of wiring on this car. I think there was 11, 12 plus videos. I took a couple of breaks before doing some of the hydraulic clutch stuff and installing some of the AC stuff in the car, lighting the car on fire. That was always fun. And 2023 is going to have a lot more wiring as well, but I'm not sure how well you can see behind me. I've already started working on some of the front end stuff. That kind of takes me into the videos and how I'm doing. Obviously, I'm put out week 44 yesterday, I think it was, and so I'm working on week 45 right now. So I do still have like 7 more weeks worth of stuff that you haven't seen that's already filmed and ready to go. There may be 1 or 2 weeks missing out of there, but I'm slowly catching up, and if there's any weeks where I don't have videos, then I'll just catch up even quicker, obviously. So I'm going to give you a bit of a walk around on the car as it sits right now, things that we have to do. But what am I looking at of 2023? So this project is still on track of its 2 to 15 year build schedule. I feel that I can get it done in that time. But my goal for this year is to get an engine running in this car. And with all the wiring you've seen me do, you're probably thinking, oh, that should be simple, but there's a fair amount left to go still, and I'll kind of get through some of that. Everything on this car is 1 step forward, 2 steps back. So when I set out to build this car, I set out to build it as a street car without compromising any of the niceties. So I want air conditioning, I want a heater. It's got to have all the lights. I want it to be enjoyable for me to get in and drive it every single day. Well, when you do that, some of the parts that are more race-oriented do not work. And I'll talk about some of the stuff that happened in the front end here that didn't go according to plan, that I've had to change and I've had to redo, and I'm still in the process of redoing. So part of the process is when something goes wrong, I need to do a bunch of research and find out what the right path forward is, and then implement that right path forward. Usually implementing that right path forward involves ordering parts out of the States. Now I'm up in Canada, I'm on an island in Canada, and it's a bit of a process. If I was in the States, I could order the parts and have them at my house within, usually 2 to 3 days. Being that I'm in Canada, I get all those parts shipped to a place in the States, so it takes 2 to 3 days to get there, and then that company brings them across the border for me, and then I have to go to the airport here, clear the packages myself, pay the taxes, and then I get the parts. So if I order parts on a Friday, well, those don't get shipped out of the States until the Monday, they're not delivered till the Wednesday or the Thursday, and then there's so many packages going through this company that, it's not like, they get them on Thursday and they're here on the Friday. So usually what will happen is, parts get delivered down into the States on the Thursday, and then I can maybe pick them up the following week on the Monday or the Tuesday. So it's really, if I need to order something out of the States, it's a week and a half to 2 weeks to get those parts in. I could pay the delivery companies, UPS or FedEx, to do that, but they charge a ridiculous amount to broker packages across the border. I could of course go and broker those packages myself. It doesn't cost anything. So why these companies are charging, a percentage of the value of your package is beyond me. But, they gotta make money and, greed and all that good stuff. So it's just easier for me to go and use this company called Sea-Wings. They're great people down there. They were one of the sponsors on my race car. Super awesome to deal with. Their rates are super, super reasonable. So I have no problem doing that. But there's a time delay. So in one of the videos where I broke the connector, I chatted with, I want to say it's Jared at Maven Performance, and, great to deal with. Love dealing with those guys. I bought a bunch more stuff. He sent the connector up, but again, I broke that connector, let's say on the Wednesday. It was 2 weeks until I had the replacement in my hand and I could actually work on it. So usually when I run into a delay on the car, it's not just a 2-day delay, it's a 2-week delay minimum. So that really kills my momentum. Like when I start working on something, as you've seen, I'm quite, what's the word I'm looking for? I procrastinate a lot. I take my time, I'm thinking about things, I'm just standing around looking at the car, wondering how I'm going to run things. So when I'm actually working and then I run into a roadblock and I get a 2-week delay, that's a huge productivity hit. But that's life. That's custom cars. You're going to run into that. So what I'm going to do now is let's actually talk about some of the issues I've run into the front end here. You haven't seen this in any of the videos yet, but as you can see, I've got a big old water pump on here, got a big old supercharger bracket, AC bracket, new alternator brackets, and what you may notice is missing is the original Team Z engine plate that I had. It would have gone behind the water pump on the head, and that's how I had this engine mounted. Well, with the Team Z engine plate, Pro Charger outlet was in the way, it was hitting it. Power steering, there was no way for it to go on. And so ultimately, I chatted with a gentleman I know who runs a race shop, and he recommended I do head style engine plates. So I had these built up and done. After I sent the drawings off to the machine shop, it was 2 weeks before they could get those built for me. So there's another 2-week delay. So issues that I've run into on this setup. So first and foremost, I want to run AC. I want to run the stock AC. So I knew I was going to have to get the stock style brackets. So that's this big guy here, and then this small guy here. This car started out, the engine came out of an 83 Mustang, it's in an 85 Capri, and so the 79 to 86 Mustangs were similar, and then 87 to 93, still engine, chassis, body, more or less the same, the interior is different, but they also have some different accessory mounting. Now, almost all the manufacturers, Pro Charger and everybody else I've seen, they specify their stuff is for the 87 to 93 Mustang, not the earlier stuff. So this is the original power steering bracket that was on the car, and this would bolt to the top head bolt, and then I believe this goes in behind the water pump or in front of the water pump or something, and this attaches like off the water pump. So got the AC bracket and realized this bracket is junk, cannot use it in this setup. What you need is this modern water pump bracket setup. And so this bolts to these two bolts here. I just have this loosely in place right now. All of this is just roughed in. But what happens is the AC bracket, this piece here sits between the head, the power steering pump, and the AC bracket. So now that I don't have the Team Z engine plate, I've got these 3/8 thick aluminum engine plates. I need this bracket machined down 3/8 of an inch. It's too thick. So it's Christmas right now. I just found out I need this machine down, the week before Christmas type thing. But nothing's open until the new year. So I need to wait until the new year, get this machine down 3/8 of an inch. This will sit in here on the bottom and the right head bolt. Power steering pump will come on the inside, and this will mount in. Alright, so that's one challenge. Next challenge, Mazira water pump. It came with all of these nice stainless steel socket head cap screw fasteners. Beautiful. Love them. They're super nice. I like them. But I've run into a problem. Now what's that problem? That problem is that the supercharger tensioner is supposed to mount here. Now there's a huge gap between this bolt and this bolt hole, so what's supposed to go there? Well, supply me with this little piece right here. So this is supposed to go right here, and then we've got a spacer, and I'm going to bolt, and this bolt goes into here. Well, on the original water pump hardware, this is a bolt with a nut on it and then a stud face. So it's 5/16 on the back, 3/8 on the front. And that is exactly what this is supposed to bolt onto. This goes onto the 3/8 stud on the face of this. So this will not work for the Pro Charger setup. Another issue with custom. This is the Pro Charger idler. This is supposed to sit here, but this corner hits the Mazira water pump because of the way it's built. It's, you know, different size than the mechanical water pump. So I'm actually going to have to knock, you know, 1/4 inch out of this corner here so that this will be able to mount up there properly. So yeah, so another thing. See right here? This is the shaft for my Pro Charger. This is the pulley that goes on there. It did not clear this Team Z tubular front end. No way, no how, not happening. So, I've designed a new bar. It's going to come out 4 inches further, have a tighter turn down, tie into roughly the same place. But I'm going to need to cut this bar out entirely and replace it. It's just another thing where I would have hoped that the kit that Team Z built would clear this. But Team Z isn't really a street car company, they are a race car company. And if anyone has a Pro Charger on their stuff, chances are they're not running AC, and then this gets mounted inward. Alright, so those are just some of the reasons why a lot of this stuff takes so long, is because you start working on something, you run into a problem, you gotta stop, reevaluate, figure it out, and at the end of the day, that just takes time. Okay, so, to explain that, so let's just kind of go through the car, where it's at, and where we are going to be, what we have left to do before we can even get this thing running. Alright, one of the things we need to do is finish up the wiring. So this right here is the ignition connector that came with the distributor. What we're going to do is we're going to knock this off. We're going to remove all of the, we're going to remove the loom, probably replace the loom, but we're going to throw a Deutsch connector on here because there's only four wires used out of the 10 pack. We don't need this huge connector. And we need to cut these crank and cam wires down to wire into there. Let's see here, these blue guys, these two blue guys, water pump wires. So we need to replace this weather pack connector with a Deutsch connector and then connect that into our power. As well, we're going to need to run ground for that. Gray is our AC compressor, so we need to run a ground for that. Oh, let's see here. I believe these three right here are my oil temp sensor. So this runs down the side and we'll get finished off over there. Or get finished off down there. Because that little stick right there, that's where the oil pressure sensor is going to go. So we got to finish that up. Fuel pressure sensor is wired in and connected. All of my fuel injector connectors, I redid all of these. These were all done by me. I cut off the stock ones from the connector and redid them all. Wired them to my length. Let's see here. I'm going to need an alternator wire. That's fine. On the throttle body, we have TPS wire done. We have the IAC motor done. All this needs is some loom and some shrink tape, shrink wrap, heat shrink. That's the word, heat shrink. What are these two big hoses back here? Well, these are my fuel hoses. So we got a dash 10, I think, feed, dash 6 return. So I need to wire that up to the fuel rails, both sides. I need to put a fuel pressure regulator somewhere in here. I think it'll probably just go right on here. I've got 2 sensors in the wire, two sensors in the back here to wire up still. Oh, you can't really see it. But it's there, trust me. Okay, what else? So the old fuel pump down there, that's got to come out and just get a blocker plate. I need to pull this bung out. I'm going to put an aluminum welded bung on either valve cover. And that's going to go to a catch can. So we're going to have 2 dash 10 lines coming off each valve cover going to a catch can. We're going to do that. We need brake lines. So I don't have the master on right now, but we're going to have the master come out, and then we're going to have brake lines come out somewhere in this area. Go down, vacuum booster, that's got to get connected. Okay, on the front end, we need to fit a radiator, air compressor condenser, and the intercooler in here, and all of the tubing and all of the lines. That's going to be fun. Brake lines on the outside of the car. Let's see here. So down in here, I need to wire a ground, I need to wire a positive, and then I need to do all of my pinouts. So all of that's going to come down. It's going to shoot through this little gap between the K-member and the frame. And then any wiring for the front of the car will just run up along the inside of the frame rail. Alright, let's talk the inside of the car now. So I've got my heater box kind of mounted there. Just got in a new plate and mount for that, so you'll see that in an upcoming video. So much wiring in the car still. You know how much wiring I've done. There's still quite a bit left. I need to run wires for the reverse lights. And then just a lot of termination. Now that I actually have the heater box in place, I can kind of get some of the venting running and making sure all my wires are out of the way of that. Up here on the dash bar, I've got these 2 Maven brackets. I'm going to make a switch box that goes up here. That's what all those wires are up there for, is just for all the trigger wires. It's really oversized, but I didn't have anything smaller at the time. Back of the car here, we've got our fuse box. We know our Dominator is going right here. This new fuse panel I recently built. You know, this is another thing where you're always going to run into something. When I was wiring up the Dominator, I initially had the vehicle speed sensor wire just to one of the regular inputs. But if I need an output to drive a speedometer, that actually has to go into the transmission control specific section on the Dominator, which I think is P4, J4, whatever it is, it's connector 4. So I had to get this one connector here for those 3 wires. For the vehicle speed sensor wire, a ground out, and I think I'm using the other output as the transmission reverse shift lockout. So, like a $30 connector for 3 wires. And 2 weeks to get here. We have our Leash Electronics Pro 8 relay board there. I got the output wires just loosely hanging there. I can terminate those anytime now. That was some of the stuff to look forward to in 2023 that I'm going to be doing. And one of the other changes I'm probably going to be making, I hope today, is I'm going to be changing my channel name on YouTube and Instagram to the Annihilator Racing. I don't like that it's Annihilator The on YouTube. That's all they had available when I created my channel way back when. And I think, 13 is the number that I had on my race car, and it's still something that, if I ever raced again, I'd still race under 13. But I think the Annihilator Racing is a little bit more generic, because I'm going to have this car. I know I have at least one more build lined up after that, and then I'm hoping to just keep on building cars, because I enjoy it. Anyways, I hope you all have a great 2023, and if you stuck around this long, I'd like to thank you for watching.